Hello and welcome. You're watching News Central Television. I am Judith at TB. Here are some stories making headlines around the continent, or rather beyond the continent. We begin the news in the Middle East, where UAE President Sheikh Mohamed bin Zayed Al Nahyan has announced plans to invest $1.4 trillion in the United States over the next decade. Speaking alongside former U.S. President Donald Trump at the presidential palace in Abu Dhabi, Sheikh Mohamed emphasized the depth of UAE-US partnership, highlighting the massive investment as a sign of long-term strategic and economic cooperation.
خاصة في مجالات الاقتصاد الجديد والطاقة والتكنولوجيا المتقدمة والذكاء الاصطناعي والصناعة. ومما يؤكد على ذلك مخطط دولة الإمارات للاستثمار في الولايات المتحدة في هذه المجالات من خلال المؤسسات الاستثمارية الإماراتية وبقيمة 1.4 تريليون دولار في خلال ال10 سنوات القادمة.
But we are going to be your friend and we're going to be your partner, and we really appreciate your confidence and an investment. That's your biggest investment that you've ever made, and we really appreciate it, and we're going to treat you very, as you should be, magnificently. And you're a magnificent man, and it's an honor.
A bold diplomatic move in the Middle East. Former U.S. President, or now U.S. President Donald Trump, has become the first American leader in a generation to meet with a Syrian president, pledging to lift crippling U.S. sanctions in exchange for steps towards normalization with Israel. For News Central, international correspondent Afia Hagen has more.
I will be ordering the cessation of sanctions against Syria in order to give them a chance at greatness.
President Trump met interim Syrian leader Ahmed al-Sharaa in Riyadh alongside Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman and via video link Turkish President Erdogan, key backers of Syria's new government following the ousting of Bashar al-Assad. Once a US most wanted jihadist, Sharaa now leads a fragile transitional government. Trump, speaking aboard Air Force One en route to Qatar, praised Sharaa as a tough guy with a strong past and said the two had a great meeting. While Saudi and Turkish leaders support Syria's re-entry into the international fold, Israel remains wary. Its government has stepped up military operations in Syria and expressed deep concern over any US-Syria thaw. Trump said Sharaa agreed in principle to join the Abraham Accords once Syria is, quote, straightened out. He also demanded the expulsion of Palestinian militants and the return of Islamic State detainees to Damascus. In Syria, news of sanctions relief sparked celebrations, especially in Aleppo, where business owners hope for economic revival. Trump landed in Doha, where he signed what is called a record-breaking jet deal with Qatar Airways, worth over $200 billion, including $160 billion in Boeing aircraft. But controversy surrounds Qatar's offer of a $400 million luxury aircraft for Trump's use, raising legal and security questions over foreign gifts for a sitting president. For News Central, I'm Afia Hagen.
Meanwhile, U.S. President Donald Trump stirred controversy during a visit to the U.S. troops in Qatar, where he suggested the idea of seeking a third term despite the Constitution's two-term limit. Speaking at the Al Udeid base, Trump falsely claimed victory in the 2025 election and mentioned 2028 campaign merchandise, saying it drives the left crazy. He mocked President Biden's stamina, contrasting his own secret trip to Baghdad with Biden's abilities. Despite acknowledging that he cannot run again, Trump hinted at possible successors, including Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio. His speech resembling a campaign rally ended with the anthem YMCA, a familiar song at his rallies.
I signed an order to build the Golden Dome Missile Defense Shield to protect our country from missiles. Is everybody okay with that? Because as you know, we won 3 elections, okay? And some people want us to do a 4th. I don't know, we'll have to think about that. You saw the new hat, the hottest hat is, it says, Trump 2028. We're driving the left crazy, would you see that?
Let's also tell you that at least 114 Palestinians have been killed in Israeli airstrikes across the Gaza Strip since dawn. 56 people, including women and children, were killed when homes and tents sheltering displaced families were bombed overnight in the southern city of Khan Yunis. The local Nasser hospital said the Israeli military said it struck Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad fighters in southern Gaza. The Hamas-run civil defense agency also reported deadly strikes in the northern town of Jabalia, including an attack on a health clinic and prayer hall in Jabalia refugee camp that it said killed 13 people. Meanwhile, in Europe, U.S. President Donald Trump says nothing's going to happen in Ukraine peace talks until he meets Russian President Vladimir Putin face-to-face. Tensions surrounding Ukraine peace efforts intensified on Thursday as both Trump and Russia's Vladimir Putin confirmed they will not attend scheduled negotiations in Istanbul. Trump's remarks have signaled a diplomatic deadlock. Meanwhile, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio says he does not expect breakthroughs in the Istanbul talks between Ukraine and Russia, which sent a low-level delegation.
I hope that those talks will be between Ukraine and Russia with our Turkish counterparts in the room, along with someone from our team or members of our team at the appropriate level. But I want to be frank, I don't think, we don't have high expectations of what will happen tomorrow. And frankly, at this point, I think it's abundantly clear that the only way we're going to have a breakthrough here is between President Trump and President Putin. It's going to require that level of engagement to have a breakthrough in this matter. I don't think anything productive is actually going to happen from this point forward until they engage in a very frank and direct conversation, which I know President.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says he is sending his defense minister to peace talks with Russia and Istanbul, but doubts Moscow's intentions, calling them not serious about real negotiations. Speaking in Ankara, Zelensky said the move was made out of respect for the Turkish president and U.S. president as well. The talks follows Zelensky's challenge to Vladimir Putin to attend in person, a challenge Putin ignored. Zelensky accused Russia of sending standing props, prompting Russia's foreign ministry to call him, quote, clown and a loser, end quote. Meanwhile, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio in Turkey for NATO meetings is expected to speak soon. Trump claimed peace won't happen until he meets Putin personally.
Припинення вогню я вирішив відправити зараз в Стамбул нашу делегацію, але не всіх, безумовно, голови Служби безпеки, начальника Генштабу не буде, голови так, але делегація буде очолена міністром оборони України разом. Щодо адженди, мандат у них буде припинення вогню номер 1. Тобто вони полетять. Хоча я досі вважаю, що Росія продовжує несерйозно ставитись до цих зустрічей, не хоче закінчити.
Let's also tell you that UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer has condemned Vladimir Putin's refusal to attend Ukraine peace talks in Turkey, describing it as yet more proof that Putin is stalling the peace process. Speaking at a press conference during his visit to Albania, Starmer stated that the only obstacle to peace is Russia, and that means Putin.
Secure borders are central to our plan for change, and people want and deserve an immigration system that is fair, that works for our national interest, and that restores common sense and control to our borders. And I'm delighted to announce the enhanced UK-Albania strategic partnership. Now, this partnership will boost our cooperation across defence and security. It will deter irregular migration and cross-border criminal activity, and on top of that, maximise our potential for investment, infrastructure and growth, particularly in our vital defence industries. Which is why I'm also pleased to announce a joint statement of intent on defence industry cooperation. We will work together on the manufacture and sale of military vehicles, so another important step forward for our two countries.
We are now in a new era, and that's why the government is in a new phase in terms of building up the military industry and the production. And what we are doing with a great ally with incredible knowledge.
Still in the region, UK Defence Secretary John Healey has called on Ukraine's allies to intensify pressure on Russian President Vladimir Putin, urging further sanctions to compel Russia to engage in peace talks. Speaking in Berlin alongside German Defence Minister Boris Pistorius, Healey emphasized the need for a unified approach to end the ongoing conflict in Ukraine. Pistorius echoed this sentiment, noting that Putin has the power to end the war by participating in negotiations.
Ready to do that as leading European nations, and the short answer is yes, we need to act. We need to put pressure on Putin that helps bring him to the negotiation.
Let's go on a short break, shall we? When we return, there's plenty more on the other side, more news, and this time France politics. But after the break, stay with us. Hey, welcome back. And it's off to Europe, where Jordan Bardella, the president of France's far-right National Rally Party, has called for immediate elections to address what he describes as a long-lasting political crisis. Bardella believes that only a new election, be it presidential or legislative, can resolve the current instability. His remarks come after the conviction of former leader Marine Le Pen, which has left the party seeking new leadership and direction. Bardella, who is now seen as a potential candidate for the 2025 presidential election, emphasizes the need for a decisive mandate to govern effectively.
Je crois qu'on est dans une crise politique aujourd'hui durable qui ne trouvera une issue que par une nouvelle élection. Que ce soit une élection présidentielle ou une élection législative. Moi, je n'entends pas attendre jusqu'en 2027 pour permettre aux Français de voir leur quotidien être traité par la représentation nationale. Donc, je l'ai dit, nous appelons dès que cela est possible à un retour aux urnes. Dès l'automne, je pense que le président de la République devra s'en remettre au peuple français. Parce que sinon, attendre la prochaine élection présidentielle, ça veut dire laisser les Français souffrir.
And off to South America, where hundreds of protesters took to the streets of Lima on Thursday in Peru, voicing anger over the government's failure to tackle a sharp rise in gang-related violence. The demonstration reflected mounting public frustration as everyday life becomes increasingly unsafe, with crimes now taking place in public areas once deemed secure. The protests coincided with the President Dina Bolotez's appointment of her fourth prime minister in less than 3 years, highlighting ongoing political instability amid deepening security concerns.
Yo me siento totalmente insegura. ¿Por qué? Porque en cualquier momento te matan. En el micro, tomando jugo, comiendo ceviche, en un restaurante, en el banco, en un centro comercial. Nada es seguro en este país. Y esas
el Ministerio del Interior no está cumpliendo con el contrato social, pero el mundo tiene que saberlo, porque el gobierno central dice, vengan las inversiones, pero adentro están matando, están criminalizando a los dirigentes, están en este momento asaltando, y sin embargo a nosotros, a los agentes interlocutores, hacemos un pronunciamiento público y nos mandan el ejército, y al delincuente que está en Lima Sur y en Lima Norte no le dicen nada, que se pongan a trabajar.
Es por eso que como madre de familia yo también salgo a las calles, porque los ciudadanos deben de tener conciencia, no podemos estar pisoteados por unas organizaciones, por mafias que están camuflados políticamente. Así que ojito en este año para ver qué van a hacer con las elecciones, que no nos lleven. Entonces esta señora, como era vicepresidenta, asumió, pero haciendo cosas muy feas con el Congreso, que tenemos un Congreso peruano que es un Congreso dictador. Desde ahí es donde se maquina todas las cosas que está pasando en nuestro país. Y lo que pasó ayer con Adriancén es una vergüenza, porque ese...
Naciones extranjeras, lamentablemente, nuestros autoridades que nos gobiernan, empezando el presidente y todas las instituciones de su gabinete ministerial, son corruptos. No, hay mucha corrupción, ellos se suben los sueldos sin que le digan nada, aprueban la ley de criminalidad a su favor. Muchos de los que nos gobiernan son delincuentes con antecedentes penales y sin embargo no los han juzgado.
China and France have strengthened economic ties by signing new agricultural partnership agreements during the 10th France-China high-level economic and financial dialogue. The talks underscored both countries' commitment to open trade and multilateralism as China voiced strong support for economic globalization amid rising global tensions and protectionist trends. The agreement highlights a shared focus on sustainable growth and international cooperation.
Ce type d'exercice vient souligner à quel point les liens économiques entre nos deux pays sont riches et maintenir ce dialogue entre nos deux pays est aujourd'hui plus que jamais essentiel dans un monde qui, nous le savons, est marqué par davantage d'incertitudes et par une montée des tensions.
明确了下一步深化合作的方向和重点。经过双方的共同努力，这次对话圆满完成了各项的议程，有以下几方面的突出表现：一是支持经济全球化的正确方向，维护和践行多边主义。中法作为独立、成熟、有担当的大国，将始终履行真正的多边主义，反对单边主义和保护主义。
And off to Asia, where China's foreign ministry says it fully safeguards the legal rights of all parties involved in the case of Australian author Yang Jun. Yang has been imprisoned in China since 2019 on espionage charges. Recently, he revealed in a letter to supporters the unbearable suffering he endures in prison and his hope to return home one day. Yang's health has reportedly deteriorated with concerns over a kidney cyst and limited medical care. Australia has repeatedly called for better treatment and transparency in his case. China, however, insists it is following legal procedures and denies any mistreatment. The case continues to strain diplomatic relations as Yang's supporters urge for his release and fair treatment.
必须按照一个中国原则，中方已多次就相关的个案表明立场。 中国是法治国家，充分保障相关当事人的各项合法权利，充分尊重并保障澳方探视等领事权，希望澳方尊重中国司法主权。
U.S. President Donald Trump on Thursday claims India has offered a trade deal with zero tariffs on American goods. Speaking in Doha, Trump said India, one of the highest tariff nations in the world, proposed charging literally no tariffs on U.S. imports. He also urged Apple CEO Tim Cook, not to expand production in India, emphasizing U.S. manufacturing instead. However, India's foreign minister quickly disputed Trump's claim, stating that trade talks are ongoing and nothing has been decided. India insists any agreement must be mutually beneficial, with negotiations continuing ahead of the July deadline for Trump's 90-day tariff pause expires. The trade discussions remain complex amid efforts to reduce the U.S. trade deficit with India. Well, that's all we can take from beyond the continent. Now, do remember that you can send us your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number now showing on the screen. And while you're at it, make sure to follow us. We're on social media. We're at News Central TV on all social media platforms. You can always watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422. We're also on GoTV as well, channel 23, Star Times, channel 274, Avo TV, and stream us live on YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Judith at TV. Good night.